points of hydration as it revolves around heat illness. So I brought in a special guest, John Swardstrom from Kangen Water. You may have seen these machines around. They create alkaline water, I think, right, John?
Alkaline, antioxidant, microclustered water, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the show. Thanks for coming out, man.
Yeah, I love doing this.
You do?
Yeah. I do it all over the world, man.
You do? You got quite the travel schedule. Where have you been lately?
Well, I had a guy, a doctor actually flew me out to Alaska twice to speak to a group of doctors out there about this. I had another guy who flew me out to Africa, to Nigeria, and went to 3 different cities, spent 7 days there. Spoke 3 or 4 times a day. Had another guy fly me out to England. I was flown out to Ukraine once. I'm being flown out there again by a group to speak at the university. We're doing 4 cities last time I was there, and this time we're doing 7 cities in Ukraine. And then I'm also going to be in Vienna and Prague.
Wow. So that's a big schedule.
Yeah.
A lot of water going around the world.
Exactly. It's people are getting amazing results, and people want to know about this, and it's so important.
Sure, absolutely. How long have you been in the water business or the hydration business?
I've been in the business for 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you seen over this time?
Oh man, I've seen so many amazing results. This is it's been such a life changer for me, literally, and my family too. My mom, my brother, my sister, all have seen miraculous results with this.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to hydration, I'm not even sure that I really understand it. I know there's this formula, 8-ounce glasses of water a day. Mm-hmm. Is that the base minimum that we need? What is this formula? Do you know much about it?
Yeah, well, not everybody, 8 glasses a day for a 300-pound person, that doesn't make a lot of sense. What we say is at least half your body weight in ounces, okay, or half an ounce per pound of body weight.
Okay.
And we also say that if you want to get really good hydration with our water, you want to get an ounce of water per pound of body weight.
Okay. And these are hard formulas for some folks to figure out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is there an easy way to do that? Just like, is this 8 by 8 enough? Say for a 300-pound person, it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. When does that make sense? Or how do we got the formula for body weight, but when do we add to that? When do we take away from that? When do we go larger or smaller on that number?
Basically, if you're 140 pounds, you want to add every 20 pounds, you want to add a glass of water per 20 pounds.
Okay, perfect. So Cal OSHA has this heat illness standard. They say drink a quart of water per hour for every hour you're out there working. So 8 hours, 8 quarts of water. Why is this maybe not enough? Because I know the body's got to absorb the water to become hydrated, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, what you got to understand is H2Os, or water molecules, they group in clusters of 15, 20, even up to 100 parts per cluster for regular water. And a lot of times those clusters are so large they can't fit into the cells of your body. So a good example of that, if you ever exercised or you ran and then drank a lot of water, you feel it like swishing around your stomach. That's because water molecule clusters are so large they can't fit into the cells of your body. Okay. So with our Kangen machine, through electrolysis, it breaks the water molecule clusters up so that they're anywhere from 5 to 6 parts per cluster. So you get 400% better hydration, detoxification, and oxygenation of the cells. And according to Nobel Prize scientist Peter Agre, he says that you need 5 to 6 parts per cluster in order to penetrate the cell wall. And those larger water molecule clusters aren't able to do that. So with this water, you feel it. It takes 60 seconds to hit your brain. It takes 5 minutes to every extremity in your body.
Okay. And so when you say it's going through these cell walls, it's most of it's absorbed in the small intestine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so that has to be able to penetrate. What is the deal with salt and sugar being added to these? A lot of people want to use sports drinks, but they're really just adding calories, right?
Yes.
So what is the delivery mechanism with the salt and the sugar, and does that make a difference if you take and break it down by cluster size?
Yeah, so a lot of people, they drink these sport drinks, which are electrolytes. So electrolytes are salts, calcium, magnesiums, basically, okay? So you get a lot of that in your food already. The thing we have a problem with is when you drink regular table salt that has taken all the minerals out of it. So when you have a white salt, all the minerals have been taken out of it.
Okay.
And you shouldn't eat a whole lot of that salt because it's not good for you. But if you have like a Himalayan sea salt or a regular sea salt, the sea salt's going to be a grayish in color, and the Himalayan sea salt's going to be a pinkish in color.
Right.
And those you can actually take a lot of and not have a problem. And I've had doctors tell me you can take as much of that as you want, and you're not going to have any health problems. But the white table salt, that has been stripped of all its minerals, all the good things, and so that's not really good for you.
Right. And so those minerals are kind of working to
all those calcium, magnesiums, and sodiums, those are alkaline minerals.
Okay.
So the machine's always making two waters at once. It's making an acidic water, and it's also making an alkaline water. The alkaline water is one that you drink. And so you get abundance of calcium, magnesium, electrolytes with the drinking water.
Okay. And those are absent in our regular water we get out of the tap, or even bottled waters and things like this, right?
Well, no, we do get them in tap water, although, with our bottled water, it's really bad. A lot of these have just been Atlanta tap water and things like that. And so when you get these bottled waters, when it says purified, those are really bad for you, because what it does is that's reverse osmosis. And the Japanese refer to that as dead water, because all the calcium, magnesium, sodiums, and things like that have been taken out of it.
Okay.
So water has memory. So when you drink that water, the water says, hey, we need those minerals back. And so it robs it from your body, depleting your body of those minerals.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of people get osteoporosis, a big contributor to that.
Gotcha. And so when it's taking these minerals out of the body, it's doing us damage. Is it still hydrating us, though?
No, because they're macroclustered. So especially when water molecules lose their electrical bond, they actually clump together.
Okay.
And stick together. So those especially, clump together, so you get larger water molecule clusters.
And so you're just kind of eliminating it from your body. It just passes through your body, and you're not really getting the hydration to the muscles or the brain or whatever.
Exactly.
Why is the hydration, the water, so important to muscles and brain activity and things like this?
Well, the University of Connecticut has done some studies that feel that the big reason for Alzheimer's is dehydration. And when you can hydrate, when you can get that water molecule into the muscles, into your fibers, it actually transports the proteins, the minerals, and things into the muscle. And so it constantly needs to be water in, water out. And it cleanses those cells, and so they can function optimally.
Okay.
And also, this has the calcium magnesiums in this water, the Kangen water, are electrically charged, so it sends better synapses throughout your brain, throughout your body. So we're electrical beings.
Right.
And so when you think, when you move your muscles, things like that, you're able to think clear, have better synapses, etc. And we've asked neurologists why people are sleeping better at this. He says that's easy. He says it hydrates your brain better, therefore you create more melatonin, and therefore you sleep better at night.
Okay. And how does this translate to work? I'm thinking if I'm thinking clear, I'm not going to be stumbling around, falling off ladders and all this kind of stuff, right?
Exactly.
Is it also, I wrote a blog post about this recently, and I talk about the effects of the water, and when you're not, when you're trying to hydrate and you're waiting for your thirst mechanism to kick in.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to have that thirst mechanism kick in, remember to go drink and hydrate, but it's almost too late because your functioning of the brain is slowing down, shutting down to some degree, and now you're really at risk of suffering the heat illnesses and potentially death because you aren't going to get enough water to kick that in, right? You get a fuzzy memory, you start feeling disoriented, stuff like that, correct?
Exactly. And a lot of people associate being hungry with eating food. A lot of times your body's telling you, hey, we need some more water. And so a lot of people disassociate with and just feel that they're more hungry, and so they just grab something to eat when really all they need is a glass of water.
Okay. Is there a way to distinguish between the hunger and the thirst?
It can be pretty difficult, but what I do is, and what I recommend is that people drink water throughout the day in between meals. You don't want to drink water with your meal necessarily because it dilutes your digestive enzymes.
Okay.
So you want to drink it a half hour before and a half hour afterwards. I usually have about 3 or 4 ounces with my meal to kind of wash things down. But the best time to drink water is right when you wake up. So as soon as you wake up, you drink about 20 ounces, 20, 30 ounces of the water, and because that's the time where your body is most dehydrated. Okay. And then in between meals, after a meal, I'll wait about 45 minutes to a half hour, and I'll drink about another 30 ounces.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. Sounds like pain, but hey, I want to drink something. What should I drink when I'm eating?
Well, I would suggest the water,
Yeah.
That's the best thing you want to do. You want to avoid, like you said, you want to avoid sodas. You want to avoid the Coke, the Pepsis, all that stuff. You want to avoid the Gatorades. A lot of people feel, Gatorade's good for me. It's got a lot of electrolytes, etc.
Right.
Gatorades, Propels are extremely acidic. And anything that is carbonated is extremely acidic, because anything that's carbonated, what you do to add carbonation is add carbonic acid.
Okay.
And because of that, anything that's bubbly is extremely, extremely acidic.
And that's what's destroying the teeth enamel and everything else, right?
Yeah. And what happens is police officers, they'll carry a 1 liter or 2 liter bottle of Coke in their car. And the reason they do that is if they come across a scene with blood on the pavement, they just pour that Coca-Cola over the blood and it eats the blood up.
All right. Well, we may want to work on that tip for our bloodborne pathogen program.
Yeah.
But yeah, Coca-Cola has amazing cleaning properties, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pour it in and it magically takes off all kinds of junk. All right, talk to me more about hydration, though. So we get it in our muscles. How we kind of know how to hydrate, but how does caffeine work on dehydrating the body?
Well, it's a chemical that actually pulls, that drains. Like I know a lot of bodybuilders and things like that, they'll take caffeine and stuff before bodybuilding shows and to deplete your muscles of the water inside of them. And so they look more vascular. And that's what it does to your body. It just dehydrates your body and pulls that water out of your system. So if you're going to have coffee, things like that, you're going to want to drink a lot of water to counteract that.
And so the caffeine molecules, the chemical itself, attaches and bonds to the water, pulls it out of the muscles, and then you eliminate this through urination? Is that? Well,
to be honest with you, I'm not sure how it does that. I just know that it dehydrates your body and causes it to lose a lot of water, and how it does it chemically or triggers your brain to do it, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been trying to figure that one out myself because I drink a lot of coffee, way too much coffee actually, and I don't drink a lot of water, and I've always kind of heard, it's all right, you can drink coffee, you get your water through your coffee, but that's just not the case.
No.
Yeah, and the same thing with alcohol. How does that work?
Yeah, same thing with alcohol too. That's very dehydrating, and that's going to, pull the water out of your body, and that's why. The thing is, when when people get hangovers, right, the next day, why do they get hangovers? Well, the reason is your brain gets dehydrated. So you get that headache. It's like, So you drink a glass of this Kangen water before bedtime. If you've had some drinks, you're not going to have hangover. I actually have doctors bringing this machine to parties, and they put a sign on it that says hangover remover. I actually had one woman who was driving back from wine tasting. She said, normally the wine affects me for about a week or two. I have a hangover. And the lady at the bed and breakfast place says, hey, do you won't feel that feeling? Just drink some of this water. And the next day she said, I feel amazing. I got to get this machine.
Yeah, exactly. So I can drink more wine.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are the effects of the dehydration? Are the blood vessels constricting? What's happening inside the body when you dehydrate?
Yeah, what happens is, the big thing is reason why people have high blood pressure is that your blood becomes a lot thicker. Mm-hmm. And so it's harder for your heart to pump throughout your body.
Okay.
And also, because it's thicker, as it goes through your body, it leaves microscopic abrasions in the lining of the arteries. So what your body does, it releases cholesterol into the body to cover up those microscopic abrasions. And then what happens is you get blockages in your arteries and things like that. And we know that cholesterol is oil-based. This Kangen water actually emulsifies oil, and it makes your blood flow a lot better throughout your body.
Okay. So we're thinning out the blood, basically, making it flow easier. So it's not a sludge.
Yes.
And we're not cutting up our arteries.
Yes.
And we're not pasting it with oil
Yes,
to make
exactly.
it flow better. Interesting. What happens inside the brain, though? You get muscle fullness. You get cell volumization. Is that what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for your brain to function. Your brain is 80% water, and so when you get the right water in there, when it's able to function, when it's alkaline, when it has a ton of antioxidants in it, and when the calcium magnesiums in the water are negatively charged, your body can function a lot better.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I see a lot of these in like Korean spas. They have these little machines with the ion water or the alkaline water, stuff like this, right? Is there a difference between ion water and alkaline water?
Well, not really, but there's that. Not all water ionizers are created equal.
Sure.
And this one is the only one that Canadian Health Insurance Finance will really pay for. It's the only one with FDA approval in Japan. It's also only one get ISO certified, only one with WQA full certification. It's the only one that can legally be put into a hospital, clinic,
Gotcha.
health center, etc., without being pulled out by the health authorities.
Gotcha. Is there a way to know when you've reached maximum hydration? Because I hear a lot about drinking too much water could be bad for you.
Yeah.
So now if we're moving away from, and I want to talk about some of these bottled waters and how bad they are for you too, but if we're moving away from those, we're going into more of an alkaline state with a microcluster, which can be absorbed into the body. Can you drink too much of this stuff? How much is too much? When do you know when you're really hydrated? How do you know that?
Well, I was talking with Dr. Horst Filzer, who's a pioneer of the vascular stent. And he says the two greatest discoveries in his life is this Kangen water in Harvard University, where he graduated top of his class and teaching out for 30 years. And he said, John, they had this water drinking contest. I don't know if you've heard about this. I think everybody has, where these people drank this. Well, he said that could have been avoided if they would have had like a tablespoon or teaspoon of salt with that water, because it was lacking the minerals in that. And so you can drink too much water, although it's very rare. If you're drinking, 4 gallons a day, or maybe a gallon in just one sitting. But for the most part, it's hard to get over dehydrated. And Dr. Filzer says it's pretty much impossible for anybody to get too alkaline from this.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, but it does. And then how do we know when so there basically, let me back up. There's basically no way to overhydrate necessarily.
Well, yeah, there's, if you're going to, if I wouldn't recommend that people drink, more than 3 gallons a day.
Okay.
And not more than a gallon per sitting. You can get overhydrated, just like you can do anything. You can die from eating too much food.
Sure.
You can die from drinking too much alcohol, etc.
Right.
But it's pretty hard to get overhydrated.
Right. How do we know when we're hydrated enough, though? So I'm out here in the sun. I'm working. I'm worried about heat illness. I want to make sure I'm staying hydrated. How do I know that I've drank enough?
You want to drink at least 12 ounces per hour, and just to know that you're drinking that much. If you haven't been drinking any water in the past 2 hours, know that your next time you're going to drink some water, you're going to drink 24 ounces.
Okay.
But you want to drink about 12 ounces per hour when you're out in the sun of water.
Gotcha. And is this based on a particular weight? Because we talked about body weight early on in the show. If I'm a 180-pound guy, physically fit, I just drink 12 ounces. And if I'm 400 pounds, I'm moving around.
Yeah. So
that's possible.
That's pretty much for about 100 for the average guy, for like 180 pounds.
Okay.
But obviously, if you're 300 pounds, you probably want to drink 24 ounces. And I also want to say that not all, a lot of people, they go to the store or they'll go down to their neighborhood market and they'll see alkaline water. And that's the big craze these days. These alkaline waters sold like in Whole Foods and things like that.
Okay.
And those waters, all they are is basically water with baking soda in it, or calcium bicarbonate, or sodium bicarbonate. So the Mayo Clinic says you shouldn't drink that water for more than 2 weeks because it calcifies the body. Okay. All it is adding chemicals to the water. Okay. So with this, the Kangen water is totally different. It doesn't add anything to the water. It actually takes an H2O molecule, it snaps off a hydrogen, creates a negative bond around the HO, creating an antioxidant. So Dr. Filtzer says you couldn't eat enough fruits and vegetables throughout the entire day to get the amount of antioxidants you get in just one glass of the water. Okay. Now, all the other waters out there, whether they're alkaline or not, they don't have antioxidants. In fact, they're the opposite. They're oxidizing, not antioxidizing. They're oxidizing.
And that's why we get rust.
Yeah, and that's why the National Institute of Health in Washington, D.C. says the amount of antioxidants you maintain in your body is directly proportional to how long you will live. That's why we have the Hunza people. Dr. Henry Konda, he studied the Hunza people, and he was very fascinated with them because they're living to be 140 years old, having babies in their 80s with very little sickness or disease. And he's fascinated by this fact, so he studied them for 40 years, and he found the reason that they live so long is because of the water that they drink. It's very high in alkalinity, it's also microclustered, and it's also very, very alkaline, formed naturally through the glaciers. So our company devised this machine to make these waters even up to 10,000 times stronger than that location.
Wow. And no ill effects on the body from drinking this thing that's 10,000 times stronger?
No.
Okay. Fascinating.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about the bottled waters and all this kind of stuff. They're not good for us.
Yeah. So, yes.
Why not? How did this craze start? How did we move from drinking water out of the tap into the bottled waters, and now they're really not that good for us? I mean, I never have really drank the bottled waters. I hit the bigger bottles from the office occasionally, but I don't drink a whole lot of water myself. But my former wife, she used to drink the bottled water all the time. Actually, she drank so much water, she was so diluted that when she went for a pregnancy test, they kept saying she's not pregnant. They couldn't get a reading on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, folks, I just wanted to take a minute. Get in it all. Should we not? What's the story?
I don't recommend drinking it. You know, when you find that Dasani and Aquafina are actually banned in Europe because it's that bad, and yet we have it all over the store, and people see it and they, oh, it's water. Water's supposed to be good for me. I'm going to go ahead and buy it. It's really bad. And the thing that people don't realize, in addition to all that, is bottles. There's two areas twice the size of Texas, 10 feet deep, where all these plastic bottles are gathered together and decomposing in the middle of the ocean. And it's growing about 5% a year. And the amount of energy it takes just to create the plastic bottles in the United States alone could fuel over 1 million cars for an entire year. So if you got a system in your house, you have to deal with that. Not to mention that bottles, anything that holds water, whether it be a cup, whether it be a bottle, etc., they're all rated on a scale of 1 to 7, basically 1 being worst, 7 being best. And the one plastics that they use are the ones that they're very cheap, and they use on all the ones that I know of that I've ever checked have all been ones.
And these are the little kind of triangle symbol around it?
Yep.
Okay.
So there's a triangle on every bottle, and they make them smaller and smaller so you can barely see it. And there's a number inside the triangle. And all the plastic bottles that you see out there with water, and for that part, Coke, Pepsi, etc., they're all ones. And that means that the plastic is full of BPA, synthetic estrogens, phytophthaleins, etc., which leaches into the water or the beverage and cause a lot of health problems.
Okay.
And so it's really, really bad for you. And it takes, on average, 1.5 years for one of those bottles, waters, to get consumed, especially when you think about bottled water from Fiji or that Fiji water. You got those tankers that go across to Fiji, with those bottles. They fill up the bottles, and then they take them all the way to the United States, and all the gas it takes and everything. They sit in there in a hot, hot sun, and then they finally get consumed. Now, Pepsi and Coca-Cola in their plants, the one, well, in all their plants, but the one in particular in Phoenix, Arizona, they get a piece of plastic that's about the size of a quarter, and then they superheat it up real quickly and then form a bottle. And in order to cool it down, they shoot the water into it to cool it down. Well, when the plastic is super hot like that, where do you think the chemicals are going to go?
Into the water.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Exactly. It's kind of easy to figure out, right?
I've been in the bottling plants in fascinating because I haven't seen the water being made. I've seen the Coke being made, and they're not shooting the Coke in there to cool it down, right?
No.
No.
But that dye that they use for that Coke, I had a friend who worked for Coca-Cola, and he's a friend of mine, and his hands would be stained for 4 days. You couldn't get that Coca-Cola dye out. Yeah. It would take 3 or 4 days. No matter what you use, it'd stay in your hands.
And we still don't know what it is because it's locked up in a vault, the recipe, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, he could be dead yet, tomorrow. I don't know.
All right, so they shoot the water in the bottle, and that's absorbing those chemicals, and that water stays in there, right? And is shipped out to be drunk.
An average of a year and a half.
Okay.
For bottled water.
That's crazy. And so we're telling on the emergency preparedness side not to use the bottled water anyway because after 6 months it starts leaching the chemicals, but it's already been sitting in there for 18 months.
Yeah, that's why we recommend like a number 7 plastic or another number 5 plastic. The best container you can use is glass.
Okay.
And then you go down from there to like a steel container, stainless steel, and then from there you go to like a polycarbonate, which is like a number 7.
Like an Nalgene bottle or something like that? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So stay away from that. It's better to drink water out of the tap than it is out of a bottle.
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword there because if you're drinking water out of the tap, you got your chlorine, you got your fluoride, and people say, "Oh, leave fluoride in the water." Well, fluoride was a gas they used to kill people. They used to kill the Jews in the concentration camps. They'd get them in these downstairs, and they'd fill the room up with fluoride gas to kill them. And then on top of that, you got other chemicals too. But chlorine also was the gas they used to kill people with in World War I. They made mustard gas out of it.
Sure.
And so Israel outlawed using chlorine in their water 10 years ago, and since then there's been a 38% reduction in the cancer rate. Okay. But when you drink chlorinated water, it forms 8 different carcinogens in your body. And, when that mustard gas was used in Europe 90 years ago, it actually got into the soil, got into the roots of the plants, and they say not to buy any fruits or vegetables in that area here 90 years later. And when you take a shower, you're opening up the biggest organ of your body, which is your skin, and you're taking in the chlorine content that's in 10 to 12 glasses of water every time you shower. So I recommend that everybody get a shower filter. I got a shower filter on mine, and it eliminates all the chlorine, all the chemicals out of the water, because your skin is the biggest organ of your body.
Sure.
And the water gets right in there. I can actually take a glass of water, I can swish it, I can put it in my mouth for 2 seconds, spit it out, and all the chlorine just got sucked into my mouth. The water got spit out, but the chlorine gets absorbed into your body that quickly. So when you take a shower, the water runs right up.
And you're heating yourself up, so you're opening the pores.
Yeah.
Right.
And like when you're taking a steam bath, for instance, at the gym, you're taking in that chlorinated gas, basically, is what you're doing.
Right.
So, a lot of people don't, you got to really do your research. A lot of people don't know this stuff, but, when you learn this, it's kind of fascinating, and then you know what to do to make sure that you don't put these harmful chemicals. But, when you learn this, it's kind of fascinating, and then you know what to do to make sure that you don't put these harmful chemicals in your body.
Yeah. Interesting. Can you hydrate by sitting in a tub?
Yeah, you could.
Can you?
Yeah.
It absorbs through the skin and all that. That's why you get the prune fingers?
Yeah. Exactly.
Fascinating, man. What else do we need to know about hydration? How do we know when we're full? I mean, we talked a little bit about the feeling, but what's this myth if you pee clear urine that you're hydrated, properly hydrated?
That pretty much goes, that's pretty much correct.
Okay.
But again, most people, when you think about it, you should be drinking not coffee, not tea, not this, but you should actually be drinking, like I'm 220 pounds, so I drink at least 1.5 gallons of water a day. So a gallon holds 128 ounces, I think it is. I could be off by
is that right? We're all both looking at our sound engineer over here, Alex. he's going to Google it.
If I'm not mistaken. So I want to drink at least 1.5 gallons of water a day, especially if I'm working out, doing my kickboxing with Steve here.
Yeah, and, exactly. Down at Krav Maga.
Yeah.
Kicking my butt.
So, especially when you're if you're exercising, you're in the heat, you want to drink extra water.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. So if we're out there shoveling, if we're in public works departments, maintenance stop, 128's right. Yeah. All right. Perfect. 128 ounces. That's a lot, man.
Yeah. See, the thing.
I have a hard time choking down a couple glasses of water.
And that's what 90% of people say. Oh, that's a lot, you know. But the thing is, you get used to it. Your body craves that. Your body will tell you, the little thirst mechanism in your head. Once it's drinking this Kangen water, the switch turns on and says, "Oh wow, we're finally getting hydrated. Give me some more of that." So you actually start craving it more and more and more.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you get this a lot too. People say if they're going to drink that much water, they're going to have to go to the bathroom more frequently. But if the coffee, caffeine, sodas, alcohol are all dehydrating the body, it's pulling the water out of the body, and that's making you go to the bathroom more often. If you drink a bunch of water that's actually being absorbed, your body's using that. You're not probably going to the restroom that often, right?
Correct. But you know, some people who complain, "Oh, it makes me go to the bathroom more." It's like, okay, is that a bad thing or a good thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, that's actually a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It is a good thing, right? You're clearing out all those toxins and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then if we're drinking, I understand we have good bacteria in our mouth and in our throat, and it's putting it in our stomach, and that is actually helping us stay healthier, correct?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. All right. That's why they say drink more fluids when you're sick.
Right. One thing people say to me too is, you know, if you're drinking alkaline water, and you know, when you drink it, your stomach acids neutralize the water. That's one of the biggest things that I get all the time. And I asked Dr. Filzer about this, and he said, right now, if you're sitting right there, Steve, if you had stomach acid in your stomach, it would burn a hole through your stomach. So stomach acid is only released when there's food.
Okay.
Not when there's water, not when it's empty. And it only releases enough of it to digest your food. So when you drink water, it goes right through you and gets absorbed immediately. With the Kangen water, almost all of it is completely absorbed by the time it hits a duodenal sweep.
What is that sweep?
That's right below the stomach.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I need to get one of these machines. I need to get hydrated is what I need.
Yeah, well, you know, you can actually, you know, call us up, and they're great machines to have in your house. And
yeah.
We suggest
I know 3 people that have them, and I've drank the water. It tastes great. You know, I'm not a big water connoisseur, so I know when water tastes kind of nasty out of the tap or something, but other than that, it tastes great. There's no really change in flavor or anything of that nature, so that's a good thing. But I find even like I like to work out, but I drink too much coffee, and I never get bigger. I never get. I don't feel like I'm getting stronger or anything. Is that part of this hydration issue for those folks that are in the fitness programs and stuff like this?
Hydration is huge, and because this water gets absorbed 400% better, when you take your vitamins, your supplements, things like that, you get 400% better transportation of those minerals and supplements into your body. So I have a lot of people that sell vitamins and supplements for different companies, and they say that they have actually been able to cut down their vitamin intake in half because of the way they feel so good afterwards. And so it's gonna hydrate and also transport those nutrients into your body, and a lot better.
Is there any, and I'm just reaching here, is there any correlation between hydration and sunburns, UVA, UVB ray blocking, things like this? Does the body react different when it's properly hydrated against the sun?
Yeah, because when your skin is drier, it's gonna dry out quicker. When your skin is properly hydrated, it's gonna be able to have the elasticity last longer, etc. So having your body hydrated when you're in the sun is going to help out your skin a ton.
Okay. And how does the sun pull the water out of our body? Does it?
That's a good question. Yeah, it was started in Japan, and they started putting it actually started in the hospitals in Japan. And people are getting such amazing health results with all the people coming in the hospitals with this, that what happened is the office staff and the doctors and nurses started drinking it, and then they started bringing bottles of it home, and then the news stations start coming in there, which are owned by the government, and they're doing all these documentaries on people with serious health problems, with diabetes, high blood pressure, things like that, and they're getting such great health results from this that everybody's like, well, how do we get this?
Right.
And so they started making the home unit. And it grew so quickly that just in the first, I believe, 10 years, it was growing 250% year after year for the first 10 years. So that's faster than Microsoft, Apple, Starbucks, and Walmart combined. And so, and then what happened is, since it grew so quickly, the first country that they came to was the United States and opened an office here. And since then, it's just exploded. That's why pretty much every celebrity in Hollywood has one.
Gotcha.
But they don't advertise. And so what happens is a lot of people, they think, well, how come I never heard about this? Well, we don't advertise. It's all word of mouth. And the company feels like they don't really need to advertise because it's spreading so quickly.
Gotcha. Interesting. What else was I going to ask about hydration? I don't know. I think that's it. Is there any other tips or tricks to get over, drinking the water itself? Because, again, a lot of people just don't want to hydrate. They're busy working. They don't think about it. They don't like water itself. Is there any advice you have for people to get their mind right about this hydration issue?
Yeah. So if you think about it as with a fish tank, the fish are going, they're swimming around, they're pooping and stuff like that. And pretty much after a while, you got a dirty fish tank. So what do? You don't add a pill in there to get it to try and get rid of that dirtiness and things like that, or add a chemical in there. What you do is you change the water out, right? So it needs to be flushed out, just like that tank was like and things like that. That's why Dr. Otto Warburg, who won the Nobel Prize for Cancer, he says all cancer, all disease, all sickness comes from an overacidic body.
Gotcha.
So when you can get rid of all those toxins and all that acidity in your body, when you think about gout, what's gout caused from? Too much uric acid. You think about osteoporosis. A lot of people think, well, it's caused from lack of calcium, magnesium. Well, that's just what's further downstream. But when you go to the source, your body gets so acidic that it goes to the bones and leaches calcium, magnesium out of your bones to neutralize the acidity. So when you're able to hydrate and also alkaline your body and give it the proper minerals and nutrients, your body's able to heal naturally.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. I need some of that water.
You do.
I do. I got arthritis. I got gout. I got all kinds of problems.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
Too much coffee, too much soda, too much alcohol over the years.
Yeah.
I gave up the soda probably 2 years ago, not on purpose, just got away from it.
Mm-hmm.
I gave up alcohol 4 years ago. Don't drink that at all. But, I have an addictive personality, so I'm into the coffee big time.
Yeah.
I drink way too much. I probably drink 25 cups a day. Oh. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Is that too much?
That's way too much. Holy
If
cow. He's got one in front of him right here, too.
Exactly. If I drink a cup of coffee, how much water do I need to drink to offset that?
Probably 2 glasses of water.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I'm in trouble. Yeah. It's tough, though.
You know what? Put it to the test. What I challenge you to do is put it to the test. Cut your coffee intake to like 1 or 2 cups a day. And if you're going to make your coffee, make it with the Kangen water.
Yeah.
Okay? Because coffee is extremely acidic, as you know, and it's extremely dehydrating.
Right.
So when you're able to deal with those 2 things, plus you're able to make twice as much coffee, twice as much tea with the Kangen water, it's going to taste a lot better. That might be a bad thing because you'll be more addicted.
Yeah, exactly. I need more coffee. More coffee. Bring a machine over, man. Let me try this testing thing.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's other properties of the Kangen water. We can talk about that on a different show, which is the cleanliness and things like that. But this is fascinating, man. And I think I really, it's interesting to me because Cal OSHA came out with their heat illness standard. And they basically said, certain temperature, 85 degrees, you need to bring in shade, you need to make sure you got proper water and all this kind of stuff. And they required training, which is a good thing. But now they've upped it because even though we're doing training and we're providing water, people are still dying from heat illness. And the only thing I can think of is they don't truly understand hydration.
They're not drinking the right water.
They're not drinking the right water. Mm-hmm. They're drinking too much alcohol. Their age and their personal attributes are affecting their ability to hydrate properly, right? So they don't exercise.
Yep.
They're obese.
Yep.
They got high blood pressure, diabetes, they stay up too late, all these types of things that kind of fall into the hydration issues, I think. So, I'm glad you came out today to talk a little bit more about hydration, and maybe we can understand this a little better and